Alberta Premier Danielle Smith passed her leadership review with flying colours, receiving a 91.5% vote in approval. Now, the conversation turns to bills tabled by the UCP last week. Particularly controversial, a trio of suggested bills relating to gender identity in minors. At a press conference Saturday at the UCP annual general meeting, Smith said that the bills have been introduced, but that's only the first step, and amendments are still possible.
That's the reason why we have 3 readings of bills. So the first reading is when you get to read it. The second reading is you debate the intent of it. Committee of the whole is where you do amendments. And then finally, third reading is where you vote on the amended bill. And then it gets proclaimed and put into law.
The bills in question relate directly to transgender minors and minors' use of preferred pronouns. Under the proposed Education Amendment Act, children under 16 would need parental consent to change their preferred pronouns or names at school, and would also require parents to opt in to their child being taught about sexual orientation and gender identity at school. Under the proposed Health Statutes Amendment Act, children under 16 would not have access to puberty blockers and hormone therapies meant as treatments for transgender people. And under the proposed Fairness and Safety in Sport Act, transgender people would be banned from competing in leagues not designated co-ed and require schools or organizations to report eligibility complaints. The proposed bills have been controversial among Albertans.
We know, evidently, that when policies like these are introduced into legislation, not only does it add a risk to violence from external sources, but it also increases the risk of self-injury, of attempted suicide. You know, my community's life expectation is 35 years. That's not solely due to us. That's due to things happening in the building behind me.
In Saskatchewan, a law was passed earlier this year that children under 16 needed parents' permission to change their pronouns or names at school. In that province, the government invoked the notwithstanding clause, allowing the government to override certain charter rights for up to 5 years. Smith says a lot of thought was put into these bills, and she hopes to not use the notwithstanding clause here in Alberta.
We have lots of policies where minors have been restricted in their activities by government. We have lots of policies where we affirm parental rights and choice. And so I'm hopeful that the courts will look at these as that we've done our best effort to be reasonable and won't have to invoke the notwithstanding clause.
Smith noted that none of the bills proposed in the last week have made it past the committee of the whole stage, where amendments are made. She says there is opportunity for feedback to amend the bills laid out. However, Smith feels the proposed bills reflect what the majority of people want. In Edmonton, Bianca Millions, City News.